Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, we are finally going to get to Star Trek Lower Decks Episode 3. Now, captains, we're a little late on this, but we have been working on some other things, and also in real life duties have kept us from actually watching it, but we finally watched it. So what we're going to do is go over the scenes that we clipped, drop my 2 ECs, and then give our conclusions / scores. So here we go on screen. So we'll just go screenshot by screenshot, drop the ECs like I mentioned there. So again, we're starting this episode in a planet here. Looks like there's a little research facility there. Now this next scene here, we have an archaeologist scanning some green little orb here, but from that green orb forms a sort of a female character from apparently this archaeologist's past, which is his teacher. So there's a little bit of an interaction there, but this is proving to be a distraction as that orb turns anything that it touches into stone. And then we see this ominous figure looking over this, and of course we get into the intro, and here is the actual episode's name. So Mining the Mind's Mines. Try saying that 3 times fast. So there you go. Obviously I pick this picture here. This is the planet that they were over, but we had 2 Cerritos ships here. And of course, an Excelsior class, so that's awesome. So we got a look at the afts. Yes, captains, you know how I like afts. So there we go. Now apparently there's 2 crews here. They're going over the planet here with the alien species and the scientist here trying to figure out what's going on. Kind of cool. Now this staff for some reason is reminding me of a planet killer. Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. So there's a crew of the other Cerritos there. The other California class, I should say. But their whole mission here is to... Actually, no, this is the crew, sorry, of the Excelsior over there. So they leave, and then they leave the mission up to the 2 California classes there. So we get a shot of an Excelsior. It's not the Obina that we saw before, but an actual Excelsior. It does look a little refitted, I guess. That could just be because of the animation style. But I appreciated that. I really did like this scene, and I was all for having an Excelsior class. Even though Excelsior class is not one of my favorite ships, regardless, it did grow on me, I should say. But seeing it on screen again here, especially in Lower Decks all these years later, it just, you know, again, the nostalgia nuggets there are strong with Lower Decks. So then we have Ransom here, Phillips and Mariner in the briefing room talking about the mission here, the mission parameters, what they're going to have to do. So essentially Mariner has to go with Phillips down to the planet and do their thing. And they're talking about these sort of green orbs here, the sort of devices there that they just have to clean up. Now this Phillips here showing his sort of affection towards Ransom here. I thought it was hilarious here, and he just kind of denying it, and they're just showing it. This is probably gonna be like a running joke, I would say, but it is good, so we took that. Next, the rest of the crew there go meet up with Tendi. Tendi apparently is being sent to a mentor to be mentored, and apparently because she has been assigned to the science. And there, of course, we have Rutherford, Mariner, Boimler. They're going to go to the planet. She's going to go to the mentor. And the mentor is Miglimoo. Miglimoo? Miglimoo. I believe that is the name of the character there. The Dr. Miglimoo, which I thought was hilarious when they named that. I don't know why they would name it Miglimoo, but it is Miglimoo. And he is the one that's mentoring. Now, the funny interaction here is between the two. He doesn't even know what he's doing. So he, over the pad now, he did reference Spock here. So of course, again, they are throwing those nostalgia nuggets there, but essentially they're going to be learning together on how to do what Andy has been assigned to do. Took the shot, of course, of the 2 California class. I didn't take the note of the 2nd California class there, but again, I took the shot because you can tell there's a slight difference between the 2. I believe the one on the right is the Cerritos, I think, or it could be one. No, it'd be on the left because it has the yellow stripe. My apologies. So there you go, the 2 crews there. Now there is the site there. that they all kind of meet down. They beam down there. There's a crew of the other California class. They're there to dismantle the actual structure there, while the crew of the Cerritos is supposed to do pickup of the green orbs. Of course, Phillips is just kind of filling them all in there. And it seemed like there was sort of a little tension between the two crews there, and they weren't messing around there. And this was setting up, of course, the relationship between and the reputation as well as the crew of the Cerritos there. That they were sort of the ones, like the crew that breaks the rules and all that stuff there, while this crew there was really sticking to their duties and doing what they had to do. So you saw the attitude here from them. Now, one thing I noticed that this officer here had webbed hands just out of nowhere. I'm sure. So you can tell the animations, you can totally tell when they have attitude, which is hilarious. Of course, Mariner's trying to be all nice, but you know, they weren't having any of that. They continued to do their work, and of course, the Mariner's like, well, we're going to do our work. We're going to do it better than them. Start again, another shot back to the ship. I love, again, captains, I do love and appreciate when they always show shots of the ship. I really do. And even if they're just standing still, it just brings me back to Star Trek The Next Generation, when you see the shots of them just totally going from scene to scene and jumping the transition of where they're going. I do totally appreciate that. And again, nostalgia nuggets for me. A little milder this time around, but again, appreciate it nonetheless. So back, of course, is Tendi and Miggly Moo. And you can tell Tendi wasn't really too impressed here, but essentially Miggly Moo sends her off to be the science officer for the negotiation that is happening. Now back to the planet here. Again, they're just collecting these green orbs here. And again, Mariner's just being sassy as always, trying to be, you know, the best and trying to beat this crew in doing their task. So weird things happen here. First one, so Rutherford encounters Leah Brahms. Now, funny enough, when I saw this, I was quite surprised that it was Leah. Again, of course, the reference being The Next Generation, but also, captains, we did a previous video on Star Trek Resurgence, and they did a prequel comic that is going to actually feature Leah Brahms. So I thought that was awesome. And she's trying to tempt him, of course, to work on engineering stuff. And of course, he's being made fun of that his sort of fantasy is that, because that's what those green orbs do. They kind of draw out your fantasies, and hence why they draw you in. Then, of course, Mariner's pointing to the fact that the crew, the other California class there, are doing their job, which again, the one there just kind of gives them a wave there, and that sets off Mariner. And of course, now they are all fired up, and they all go do their thing. And of course, they're collecting the orbs there. You see Leah Brahms trying to stop them. And this was Boimler's little temptation here. An officer coming in, a little sort of hover scooter with TOS style deflector and nacelles there, and a sidecar to pick him up, because saying Starfleet needs you, that was his little temptation there. Of course, Mariner pulls him off because she knows that is. So everyone else can see whatever you're being tempted by. And of course, what happens? Well, this was quite a surprise. So Mariner's temptation is Jen, which is, I guess they're insinuating, they're saying that they're a couple of some sort. So they kept, you know, Jen kept saying babe, and everything like that. So I thought that was quite the surprise, and Mariner was blushing there, and of course they noticed, and there she is walking away. And of course, the scene is funny where Jen and Leah just started hugging, again, trying to just tempt the crew there. But back onto the Cerritos there. So Captain Freeman is with the captain of the other California class, and they're kind of talking about him, that he's kind of fast tracking through Starfleet, through the ranks, and that rumor has it that he is on course to be on a Galaxy class. Again, these nostalgia, I would love to see, captains, I would love to see a Galaxy class in Lower Decks, just because that'd be awesome. But that's a situation that, of course, Tendi walks into. Then the two captains are talking, and then you can tell there was some shots fired here by the younger captain, because he was all about saying, well, see how the old school does it, and that kind of set her off. Of course, the scientist and the alien from the planet come in. Again, this is just reminding me of a planet killer. That's just me. And it could be his device for controlling whatever, but it never really stated it in the episode. Again, especially when he tilted there, that's like planet killer written all over. So these two were fighting. And of course, they were supposed to just do the negotiations here. And the alien actually offers this rock that he's holding to the captains. And Captain Freeman there offers it to the younger one. And he's like, no. And they get all into a little hissy fit and fight over it. Now, Tendi is sort of the science officer. That's why she's there. Now, back to the planet. Of course, now the Cerritos crew is trying to gather all these orbs. And they can see all the temptations happening. Of course, this one says, hey, I can make you captain. Of course, Leah Brahm's still doing her thing. And yes, I took this one. This was hilarious. But of course, Mariner's like, no, we're going to ignore you. And then, of course, she's bragging to the other crew that they're doing such a good job. Actually, the other red shirt there falls and trips and actually hurts himself. Here, showing there. But of course, pissing them off because they're trying to... This is a race between them to see who can do the job better. Of course, Billups comes back in saying, what are you guys doing? Now, Mariner takes the opportunity to sort of fire Billups up by saying that they're talking smack about, of course, Ransom. Well, what happens is he gets a little angry. He starts saying, here, let's get this in. Let's get this going. He picks him up. Well, he tilts over the thing putting in the green orbs, and he cracks him. And from this point, all hell breaks loose. Things start coming out, but they're not actually, they're like real now. These things are real. So the one is like a dragon, I guess. So that's Billups' fears, a colorful dragon, snake, dragon, flying dragon, whatever it is. He gets caught up, but he also turns into stone and loses his arms because he fell. So that's not good. So you can see the green gases here. It's just kind of all over the place. And Boimler again just states, yeah, this is all real now, and all their fears are coming true. And I guess this is Rutherford's. It's a snake that has been Borgified. I thought this was cool. If there's a captains, some of you may not know, those that are new to the bridge here, I do a lot of content for Star Trek Online. I would definitely get that as a pet, combat or non-combat. That is awesome. Just because. So that's Rutherford's fear. And then the others is Klingon clowns with batleth arms, and then this thing over here, whatever that is. So that was kind of freaky and weird, but it is what it is. That's their fears, and they start chasing them, and then they get kind of forced into a cave there, and you can see Jen. Okay, this scene was kind of weird. So there's Jen trying to again stop Mariner, but then there's another version of Jen who's a werewolf who takes the Jen and rips her in half. So I thought that was pretty gruesome. And this one was pretty possessive, saying we want to grow old or whatever. So they get into the cave, they seal it off by firing it. And you can see that they're trying to get through. So right now, they don't know how long this is going to last. And of course, comms are out. Why wouldn't it be? So, and this is the part where they kind of start talking to each other. And the reason why that the other crew there was being the way they were towards Mariner, Boimler, and Rutherford was they are like kind of legends, and I thought that was really cool. They were really sort of talking about them in admiration, actually. But back onto the Cerritos, you see there, again, the captains are just kind of arguing who can get that rock, but Tendi is asked to kind of scan it because the young captain doesn't want it. And she does see some sort of readings from it. But before she can kind of talk, and while she's talking, actually, you can see these two looking at each other. So obviously something is going on. They know. But of course, they start fighting over the rock again, and Tendi leaves because she's kind of disappointed situation now. Again, we go back to the surface here. Again, they're saying to the crew that they're kind of like the Enterprise of the California class, which I thought was pretty cool and funny. And this was a moment, again, kind of reaffirming that within the fleet, the Cerritos is kind of like the top of the California class by that, and all they were trying to do was impress them. They were kind of cool, but they were starting to break through there. Snake one was the first one. Now, funny thing is, this one actually choked up a basketball. Now, before, what had happened was, before the whole accident there, Phillips mentioned basketball, and that came out. So they're wondering why Rutherford was scared of basketball. That wasn't it. They're kind of figuring out that it's kind of reading all of their memories, or which is even short term. Of course, it gets phasered there. Actually, it was a group shot there, but I couldn't get it. It was too fast animation-wise. They look outside, and the snake was coughing up basketballs. And of course, you know, Jen's dancing, the werewolf Jen, and then one's having tea. The other, you know, the Klingon clown is playing sax. So something's going on there. And they kind of have some readings deeper in the cave, so they go in there. Now it goes back up to the Cerritos here, and we're back in the med bay here with T'Ana, and apparently she's got a patient who has something that is digesting or eating his foot, which I don't know what that's referencing. If captains, if you know, comment below. But Tendy's kind of going there, and Dr. T'Ana gives Tendy some pep talk, and telling her just, hey, the reason why I actually recommend you because, you know, you're a good officer and all that stuff. So it was kind of a cool moment from T'Ana. It was a very short moment with T'Ana, but I think it was really cool. I'm starting to really like Dr. T'Ana. She's crazy. And whilst they're talking, they are talking about the guy on the table there, and she gives him a sedative, saying that this guy's cool because he's got something digesting his toe. Of course, he's screaming, but again, just kind of doing a pep talk there. So this was something that, you know, Tendy needed, which she got, which I thought was really cool. So she leaves, and of course, T'Ana started screaming here before he's going to cut off because, yeah, he's going to have to amputate. So they probably go back, but back to service, and yeah, they find a door here which leads into a room that is kind of the brains of the operation, which is apparently reading everything from anyone that is down there. So you can see their classified information. It was grab memories from them from the past up to them being on the planet. But also one of the red shirts here, notice that this is all Federation tech, so that they surmise that the aliens and the scientists are working together to get classified information so that they can sell it. So they're planning. Of course, com's still not working, and then Mariner does this whole thing. Well, you guys are in for a treat, Cerrito style, whatever. They're trying to fire up and get them. So, because what they're going to do is fight the aliens. I thought that was really cool. They came out and fight with all of them. And when they're outside, the two start. I thought this was going to be a start of something for some reason, and maybe it could still be. They both kind of seemed like they were sort of the same because they were trying to communicate both their ships, but they were talking over each other. Say, "Oh no, you go first. Maybe I should go over there." I thought it was pretty cute. And maybe this will turn into something. Who knows? But back onto there on the Cerritos there, you still have the captains fighting. Still fighting over this rock. This whole negotiation, they're still fighting over the rock. But, you know, the alien and the scientists are sort of getting impatient and mad. But, you know, what happens is Mariner and the other officer come back here. Ransom's pissed. What are you doing here? And of course tells him the whole plot, that what they found down there was there was a whole sort of receiver gathering all the information using those orbs there to get the Starfleet info. And of course T'Ana says the anonymous readings that she got from the rock was an actual sort of transmitter. So the purpose of that rock was to go into one of the captain's room, and they were going to get all of the information of whether it be briefings or whatever, and that was kind of what Captain saying. So they're kind of looking at each other going, oh. So they know they're caught. And they try to escape, and of course Shax kind of stops them. Shax has he's just one of my favorite characters. I mean, all of them have their quirky little purposes, and I love it. So again, the whole thing is resolved. I really thought this one was the shiny one, was that it was the Cerritos, but of course I forgot that the yellow strip was theirs. So of course the alien and the scientists get taken away there. The two captains patch it up. Of course, Captain Freeman there goes to do a personal log explaining what was happening there, and putting it in her personal log. And they decide, both crews, to have a little bit of a get together. So the two crews there. So here's Billups again. His arms are back. Sure, it was broken in a million pieces when he fell from the serpent dragon thing, and it's back. So of course Megumu comes back here, proud of Tendi, but really Tendi was actually mentored by Ta'ana, which kind of looked there and over at her and really went there. And of course Megumu kind of got in the shot there, but of course you see the two captains again. Carol gives the young one another sort of souvenir, says there's nothing in it, and asking if she was sure. It's like, yeah, no, she kept the bigger piece, and this was his to keep. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment. Then you have this moment with both of the crews there, and talking about how they are sort of known where Rutherford is like the smart one. Of course, Mariner's a know-it-all, do-it-all, and all that. Tendi, of course, is the epitome of joy and happiness and positivity, and they thought Boimler was a robot for some reason, a cube robot. So I thought that was pretty cool. So overall, this was a good episode. I really did quite enjoy it personally. Not as high as the other two, so I can't say that it was bad. Now, what I did notice, there wasn't a lot of nostalgia nuggets thrown in here, and I appreciate that because I think it can stand on its own, and I think this episode did kind of prove that. I'd be giving this like an 8. There wasn't a lot of space pews, but again, I appreciated the Excelsior being here. Of course, the 2 Cerrito shots. Of course, this was kind of surrounded by Tendi, was kind of the main, but it was kind of concentrating on a lot of things. The alien, the scientist, of course, Captain Freeman, the other captain, the 2 crews down there. So it was kind of concentrating on all of them equally, I thought, which I really didn't mind the pacing of this. And again, these episodes are really short anyways, but overall, I did quite enjoy it. And that's why we will keep on doing these sort of reviews. So I'm going to give this one an 8. I thought it did okay. Not as strong as the other 2, in my opinion. And they did a really bang up job. So I'm looking forward again to the episode that comes out on Wednesday, my time. Hopefully we can watch it. But again, captains, what we're doing here is doing the content for Star Trek Day still, because on Star Trek Online, they have a Star Trek, like a museum of the hero ship. So that's where we're going to get to. And the last ship actually that we're going to get to in that sort of video tribute that we're doing is the Cerrito. So we get another chance to go back onto the Cerritos, and I already have an idea of the build that we're going to be doing on her. But again, talking about this episode number 3, thought it was good. We're going to give it an 8. Captains, let us know what you thought of it. Like the video, comment below, subscribe to the YouTube Bridge, and we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.